Out of Heroes Hearth, this is Kyle Fergusson. Today I get to sit down with 30K's Liam after the grand finals here. We're going to be looking at Leoric. Liam, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
It's Leoric time. It's an awesome time, and what a cool build we're going to get to watch today. For everyone out there, this is a third pick Leoric after the Johanna was already seen, and the Diablo as well. So we got to see the two big burleys happening over there. Was there a chance you were going to go anything else? Is this a map pick, or did you just react Diablo Johanna early? Oh my goodness, Leoric.
Yeah, it was basically we saw the Diablo Johanna 1-2 and we were like, you know, Leoric obviously has a great matchup into both those heroes. So on top of that, he's great on this map because, you know, on Shrine, he can clear the monkeys or the Shrine Guardians very quickly. So we just went straight into it. We weren't too afraid of the other picks.
I've heard a lot about Johanna has of course become this, you know, this big off-lane pick for this season, and I've seen Leoric picked as a counter tank actually back during Johanna's tank days. Now off-laning, what makes that matchup so good?
Well, mostly it's just, you know, she can't really get away from you once you slow her, or she has to use her trait, her unstoppable. So if she uses that, then, you know, she's more susceptible to ganks, and she only has it like every what is it, 20 seconds or something? It's a pretty long cooldown compared to your slow and your drain. And on top of that, you can out wave clear her, so she really can't step up to clear the wave very effectively, so you pretty much always have prio on her, which is pretty important and competitive.
Prio being that you out push into her, she now has to catch up and you can double soak?
Yeah, I can double soak, and also, like, say my team wants to invade a camp or something, or maybe the other team invades our camp, I'll be there way before Johanna, so it's just good to have that rotational advantage.
The crazy thing about Leoric, there's so many moving pieces outside of just, you know, how he kind of gets picked up in Silver League, which is tank buster and pure damage. You've got this Wrath of the Bone King passive. Is there any pattern you're doing here? Is the single target hit going to a certain minion each time? Do you kind of strategically place yourself?
Yeah, definitely. You want to make sure when you have that AoE auto attack, which is, you know, when the mace isn't glowing, you want to make sure you're hitting as many minions as possible. So trying to stand in the middle of that minion wave. And then something like a sort of a small mechanical thing you can do is, as soon as that auto goes off, so like the second you see the damage numbers, if you cast your Q immediately after, you can kind of get the most efficient damage done there. So it's much quicker to clear the wave that way. And then with the heavy attack, you can either save it for the hero coming in to do that, you know, big burst damage, or you can just, you know, attack one of the tankier minions.
That second point you were making, that's about the animation cancel, where like Butcher and Rainer kind of have these, you cast a spell, you reset, or were you talking about something else there? Yeah,
essentially that. It's just it's a much quicker way to deal the damage, because so a lot of people, like, they'll just Q and then they'll auto right after, but if you auto and then Q immediately after, you can get essentially double the damage. So it's just important to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely very mobile what you're doing. You create a lot of body blocks, as well as just never really just hanging out for the full lingering swing that is Leoric's massive auto.
Yeah.
So we've got
some trait value there.
It's gonna anyone, you know, you instead of them, right? Or the rest of the team.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Give it up for them. Leoric on Infernal Shrines here. I mean, clearly the cleave is gonna do quite a bit. Is this a pretty common pick? Is he great at this clear for this objective, or is, you know, Diva still good? Or are there other picks instead?
Yeah, I think pretty much all the offlaners are very strong here. You know, Blaze, obviously. I think Diva's actually still viable here, just not picked as much because of how strong the other offlaners are. The reason Leoric's so great here, though, is because his level 4 talent, the one that does more damage to minions and mercenaries, actually applies to the shrine. So basically, you can just do the shrine extremely fast as Leoric. What you can do is get that AoE auto in and then immediately Q after, and you can essentially kill the Shrine Guardians by yourself instantly. So super effective on this map for sure.
Oh, the math kind of lines up. So 1 auto, 1 Q, you're done.
Yep, exactly, yeah.
That's solid. So this was changed, what, 6 months ago? Or maybe even longer, but there was that bacon of the Neil Peasants part. And then they split it off into its own talent for the mercenaries and monsters.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's talk about those talents a little bit. You got Consume Vitality. Is this your go-to level 1 pick? Is there something you're seeing on the enemy team that made you go this?
Well, actually, the reason I pick it is because of the map. It says there it reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So having the cooldown reduction on this map makes doing the shrine that much easier. So I think on this map, you should pretty much always pick Consume. With that being said, Ocean Renewal is also very good. And usually I pick that on other maps where I'm not double soaking as much, or if I'm maybe getting bullied by like a tracer or something. But yeah, on this map I would always go Consume.
That's an interesting, just the cooldown reduction in general. So nothing to do with actually trying to heal yourself. You have no interest in that part of the talent, really.
Well, it's a nice side benefit, but yeah, that's not the main reason.
And then we talked about Neil Peasants there. On another map, something else, or do you still just like the mercenaries part?
Yeah, on other maps, I would not pick Neil Peasants. You don't really need the additional damage on other maps. The slow is great. It basically makes it so you can't miss your W with that slow increase. The range is also fine. If you want the range, maybe there's more ranged heroes, you need to get the longer range in. It's also completely fine.
Then you picked up something that has been in vogue for a very long time. The hopelessness, the range on Drain Hope.
Yeah, range is it's amazing, obviously, having that additional 25% range. The only other choice here, I would say, is Drain Momentum, and that's only if you're going auto attack build, because basically it removes that move speed slow, and you get a burst of move speed once it completes, which if you're an auto attack build, it makes it easier to weave in those autos. But other than that, I would say the range is just better.
Okay. I once heard a hard and fast rule that Drain Momentum is required for a, spoiler alert, Burning Despair business. But you actually go more down a Drain Hope full build, so the range means you keep it connected to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and Drain Momentum, if Drain Hope lasts the full duration, you gain movement speed. So you don't actually stay connected more in terms of your movement speed, just you get rid of the reduction.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you are slowed when you're draining normally, so that does go away, which basically increases your move speed compared to what it would be, is what I was referring to. But yeah, you also get that burst of move speed, which is nice if it connects or if it completes. Yeah.
This is a fascinating moment where you kind of faked out the enemy team that you had gone and hung around in a bush for quite a while, catching Anduin here. I mean, you've completely destroyed top with the Punisher and no longer have that lane to manage at a safe point. But how do you, as the game develops here, know where you need to be? Your original solo lane is gone.
Yeah, well, in that situation, it was sort of just, we saw Johanna top lane and I saw Anduin was super deep, so I knew that we could collapse on him there. But generally, as Leoric, you want to be on the shrine as soon as it spawns. Here, Benny was telling me to come down here and push, which I think it was ultimately the right call because we had that kill, so we had the time to spare. So I ended up getting that fort. I think it was a good call by him there. So I'm a little bit late to the shrine, but it ends up being okay because we got a pretty big lead earlier, thanks to Hanzo.
You've been sitting on your Entomb for a bit. What is it you're watching on the enemy side for, or is it a combo with your own team?
I'm mostly just waiting to counter engage with Entomb or Dragon Arrow, as you see right here. Huge Dragon Arrow. Pretty much want to make sure that I hit Anduin if possible, because otherwise he'll just pull anybody else out of it. But in this game in particular, it's kind of, because we have Hanzo and Leoric, we're going to win the shrine anyway. So my goal here is just to wait for them to engage and sort of as a counter engage, use the Entomb.
Yeah, and it's something you're doing that's very interesting from lowly kind of Storm League business is you often put your Drain Hope on the priority target, in this case, the Diablo and whatnot, but then go about your normal Bruiser business and affecting the back line.
Yeah, it's good to get that drain on the tanky targets for obviously the additional healing, and then you zone them out as well. So it's usually ideal to make sure you're draining a tanky target, but you don't have to focus everything on them. You can always help your team out with the squishier heroes if you can get the kills.
We were actually briefly in the cast in your all's comms for this part, and we were hearing you going, "Are you okay? Are you guys okay? What are you doing down there?"
Yeah, I was. I'm just always checking in with my team, just making sure that they're not getting caught out while I'm soaking. So I think it's pretty important as the offlaner to make sure you tell your team if you're not going to be with them. The distant
voice of reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this case, are you accepting a Leoric death as a possibility? You don't know where the enemy team is. Are you trying to bait them away from the bottom?
Yeah, I was completely okay with dying there. I just wanted to make sure I got the wave to push it in. If they gank me there, then maybe my team can push bottom keep wall while they're all ganking me. So I wasn't too worried about dying.
Would you do that on a normal Bruiser, or is this very much a Leoric exclusive?
It is mostly Leoric exclusive for sure. Obviously, getting picked as another offlaner there would be. They would have a whole window to maybe siege bottom for it, and that's where the next shrine is. So it's definitely a Leoric thing, yeah.
So we've gotten some talents in the background. We talked about you doing a full Drain Hope build. You got the cooldown reduced for every second it's active. If Drain Hope lasts the full duration, its cooldown is reduced by an additional 2. What does this add to your overall build you're going for?
Well, basically they have Anduin and they have Falling Sword, which means obviously Entomb isn't going to get too much value, and especially at level 20 Silence Entomb, it's really not going to get value unless I get like a huge one, but it shouldn't really, like, realistically that's not what will happen, because even if I get the Anduin, the Falling Sword will come in, or vice versa. So basically I'm looking to go W level 20, which is a huge upgrade to the Drain Hope value, and also it gives you a AoE damage, which works very well on the shrine as well. You'll actually see at the last shrine here later on how much value it does get.
So you're just looking for more Drain Hopes overall out of this talent?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You can just basically use it, as long as it doesn't get detached, you can use it off cooldown essentially. I think there's like maybe a 1 second or 2 second downtime. So it's a pretty good talent.
You were talking about the auto attack build. Is the Ominous Wraith still viable?
Yeah, Ominous Wraith is for sure viable. I just feel like, I don't know, it doesn't seem to get as much value as it used to in the past. I think the auto attack build got buffed very hard when they moved Spectral Leech to level 13, because it used to be a level 20 talent. So once they moved it to 13, it's just super powerful in team fights, and obviously W build with the level 20 W is extremely strong. Ominous Wraith can be good, usually if you're against heroes that don't deal percent damage and they're like a double sport comp, then sometimes you can reduce their damage so much to where they just can't kill you because they don't have enough damage dealers.
Oh.
So occasionally it is good.
That's interesting. So, for example, like a double supported Vala, all you'd have to do is touch the Vala, and it's such a clear cut in their damage. You've accomplished so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So for the Spectral Leech part, I mean, it seems like you could readily wail on Diablo or Johanna here, so why wouldn't that work in this situation?
Well, again, it's mostly the fact I'm going the level 20 W is sort of just makes me go these talents. But also, Johanna has double blind, which means auto attack build obviously will get much less value into the 2 blinds. So that's another factor to keep in mind.
Okay, so we can almost deduce this off that level 20 plan then, where You look at the enemy team, you say, light bomb, people jumping around, people are going to be saving these targets in the Entomb anyway. Why don't I just go Burning Despair for more throughput on the objective? And then our build is instantly kind of informed with this, well, I want more Burning Despair, therefore let's actually make sure I can do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Also, they have, you know, Diablo, Johanna, very tanky heroes, so it's obviously great for W build.
Now, there was a brief time in CCLs of the past that March of the Black King into Death March was hot. Is that time over?
Yeah, I think the build, it's not too bad, actually. I just, you know, Entomb can be so game-winning. You know, you've seen already thus far, you've seen a bunch of Entombs get a few kills here and there, so I think having Entomb is just, you know, it's kind of a game-winning talent. Whereas March is more of just selfish, you know, it lets you do a little bit more. But I don't think you need March to provide the value.
So almost a too heavy of an investment at 10 for maybe something a little too memey at 20.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And we can see that big shroud kind of coming out around you. You also get 40 armor with this thing. I mean, the damage is really intense.
Yeah, it is a very strong talent.
It's all things too. It's not just heroic damage.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. I mean, it makes doing the shrine that much faster as well, because it just automatically kills the shrine guardians with that burning despair.
I mean, how much damage do you think you did just like auto-attacking this core versus just standing by it for the shroud?
That's a good question. I don't know. Probably more, honestly, from the Burning Despair than the auto attacks, I would imagine.
I was half tempted to believe you were going to start quick matching this biz and just start rezzing on the core here at this point.
Yeah.
So here, haunting around, you've got those traits while you're down with the Drain Essence, trying to get your health back. Is there a point you say, I'm done? Like, gets a little scary, you're going to respawn on top of them.
Yeah, once you get around, you know, 80%, I think I don't remember if I do Hearth here. We'll see. But yeah, you want to make sure, okay, no, we still have 20 advantage, so I'm not worried. But yeah, if you're about to respawn and, you know, your team's not near, you obviously want to make sure you're either far away from them or you can Hearth and reset as well.
At this point in the game, you guys go super safe. Is there anything you as Leoric are concerned about on the enemy team?
I'm not really worried about myself. I'm more worried about my team. I was calling here basically just to play for the shrine because next shrine is top. We have a whole fort there. We have pretty much wave prio everywhere, so bottom will be, you know, shoving in. They'll have to worry about that, and I wanted to get this bottom camp out as well. So pretty much the goal as Leoric is to just play for shrine because you're so strong on that shrine. So that's sort of what my thought process was there.
Does Leoric have heavy counters?
Pretty much any ranged hero with high mobility is a great counter. Obviously Tracer is probably the best counter, but thankfully it didn't matter too much this game because of the other factors, you know, Diablo Johanna and the fact we had Tyrael backing us. It wasn't too big of a deal. But pretty much any ranged hero, so like Tracer, Lunara, a big one, Phoenix, really big counter. Essentially every ranged hero that has decent mobility.
What exactly stopped Tracer from harassing you here? Did you guys draft enough lane clear? I mean, that's such an obvious place for a Storm League mind to go, oh, you guys just had more lane clear, therefore they could never excuse themselves to harass you.
Well, I think he actually could have harassed me a little bit more than he did, I think, and it would have been a bit more annoying, but you saw, like, on the first shrine, he ended up killing me, actually. So, you know, he did a decent job of harassing me, but we also have Tyrael shields provide a great, you know, obviously the shield's great value to prevent that Tracer damage. Also, Lucio rotating around makes it much harder for Tracer to rotate because he's constantly, you know, being annoying and disrupting her rotates or giving vision for me so I can be safe when she's rotating.
So here you have an Entomb that doesn't silence, so what's the goal on this engage for you?
Well, here I'm just calling, let me do Shrine, because if we win this Shrine, we pretty much win. So I'm just perma doing Shrine, hoping my team isn't dying, and I'll use Entomb if I, can find a big one. Just sort of waiting till I see an Anduin, maybe. He does end up walking in here, then I get a pretty decent one.
Oh my goodness, that Shroud is like half the zone.
It's insane, the talent. It's super strong, and you can see the range getting so much value, where if I didn't have range there, they would be out of the range, essentially. So pretty good value there.
In that case, I had to double check your talents, because there was a silence, but it came from Dino. It came from Sylvanas actually throwing it on the Entomb. So it would have been a double stack anyway, should you have got that 20.
Yeah, true. It would have even less value if that were to be the case.
So looking at damage, because you do so much pure damage and it's going into tanks, where do you usually find yourself? How can someone who's playing Leoric at home deduce if they did a good job?
Well, it sort of depends, what your goal is in the game. Like, sort of, this game, my goal was to do the Shrine and soak, pretty much. So I think I did a decent job of that. My damage actually wasn't too high. Like, in Storm League, I'd probably have more damage, because I'm, focusing heroes and stuff more. So usually Leoric can, keep up with most DPS heroes in damage, depending on your build. If you're a Drain build or auto attack build, you can usually do pretty good damage. So, keeping up with the DPS heroes. But if you're E build, then I wouldn't worry about damage at all. It's not really your goal with that build.
Right, you're more mitigation and control in that case.
Yeah, exactly.
So this build means you have to hit your Drain hopes. Would you recommend a get good philosophy to anyone who wants to learn Leoric, or can you kind of training wheels this with an easier build?
Yeah, this build is very punishing if you miss your Drains. So obviously making sure you don't miss is important. Sort of just comes down to, predicting side steps and making sure you're slowing them with your Q before you cast it. So that way it's, easier to land that Drain. Generally, though, I would recommend auto attack build in most situations. It's just super strong, super easy to use, and you're going to get a lot of value from it. Like always, pretty much. Even in the blinds, it can still be strong. E build is more, I would say, like a competitive build. Usually it's not going to do too great in Storm League unless you're against a very specific draft, like I said, double support and no percent damage heroes. So yeah, I think Leoric has a lot of build diversity, so you can just sort of go into whatever you think looks best for each specific game.
Awesome. Great rundown on the hero. I look forward to seeing more Leoric, so everyone out here, enjoy that. Be sure to check out the full games that are here on this YouTube as well. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell for alerts here at Heroes Hearth. And thanks for watching.